Warning: this video contains content that may be unsettling for some viewers. It explores dark themes and intense situations that are not suitable for the lighthearted. Viewer discretion is advised. So, I've been meaning to share this story for a while now. It's one of those experiences that still gives me chills every time I think about it. It all started last summer when I decided to take a break from the city and spend a few weeks at my grandparents' old cabin in the woods. It's a beautiful place, but let me tell you, it's got its quirks, especially at night. The cabin is pretty isolated, surrounded by towering trees that seem to close in on you when the sun goes down. I had always loved it as a kid, but I hadn't been back in years. My grandparents had passed away a few years ago, and I figured it would be a nice way to disconnect and reconnect with some childhood memories. The first few days were great. I went hiking, fished at the nearby lake, and spent hours just enjoying the peace and quiet. But as the sun began to set on my third night, things started to feel off. You know that feeling when you're being watched? Yeah, that was me the entire evening. I tried to shake it off, thinking it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. That night, I decided to read a book on the couch. I lit a few candles because the cabin gets pretty dark, and I swear, as I was flipping through the pages, I could hear faint whispers coming from outside. I brushed it off as the wind, or maybe even some animals rustling around, but then it happened again. This time the whispers were clearer. It sounded like someone was calling my name. Okay, maybe it's just the wind, I thought, trying to reassure myself. But curiosity got the better of me, and I stood up to take a look. I opened the door, and the chill in the air hit me immediately. The moonlight cast long shadows across the yard, and I could see the trees swaying gently. But there was something else. A figure in the distance just beyond the tree line. At first, I thought it was just my eyes playing tricks on me. It looked like a person standing there, but the shadows made it hard to tell. I called out, "Hello? Is anyone there?" No response. Just more whispers, this time sounding more urgent. Feeling a mix of fear and curiosity, I stepped outside. The moment my foot hit the grass, the whispers stopped. It was like someone hit mute on the world around me. I walked a few steps toward the tree line, but then something stopped me. I felt a cold breeze pass right through me, and it felt wrong, like something was watching, waiting. Just as I was about to turn back, I caught a glimpse of movement among the trees. It was fleeting, but I swear I saw a pale face peering at me, its eyes dark and hollow. Panic surged through me, and I bolted back inside, slamming the door behind me. I tried to rationalize what happened. Maybe it was just an animal or a trick of the light, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was very wrong. That night, I barely slept. I kept the lights on, and I could swear I heard soft tapping on the walls, like someone or something was trying to get in. The next day, I decided to investigate. I walked around the cabin, trying to find any sign of what I had seen. That's when I noticed something strange. There were footprints in the soft earth leading away from the cabin and into the woods. They looked too small to be from a bear, and too big to be from any small animal. My heart raced as I followed them for a bit. They led deeper into the woods, and the further I went, the more uneasy I felt. I eventually found myself at an old, dilapidated shack that I hadn't seen before. It was hidden behind a thicket of trees and overgrown bushes. The door hung off its hinges, creaking softly in the wind. I felt a mix of dread and morbid curiosity wash over me. Against my better judgment, I stepped inside. The air was thick and musty, filled with the smell of decay. Inside, I found old furniture covered in dust, and there were strange symbols carved into the walls. But what really caught my attention was a collection of old photographs scattered across a table. Most of them were faded and hard to make out, but one caught my eye. It was a picture of a group of kids, probably from the 1960s, smiling and standing in front of a cabin that looked a lot like mine. Then I noticed something else. A little girl in the back of the photo, her face almost obscured by shadow. She had the same hollow eyes that I thought I saw the night before. My heart sank. I suddenly felt the overwhelming urge to leave. I stumbled back out of the shack and ran all the way back to my cabin. That night, I locked all the doors and windows and did my best to stay awake. I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. I tried to convince myself it was just my imagination, but every little sound made me jump. The whispers returned, louder this time, wrapping around me like a thick fog. Just before dawn, I finally fell asleep out of sheer exhaustion. I was jolted awake a couple of hours later by a loud banging on the door. My heart raced as I fumbled for the light. "Who's there?" I called out, my voice shaking. There was no answer, just more banging. It was like something was trying to get in. I hesitated. But then I remembered the old stories my grandparents used to tell me about spirits in the woods. Panic set in, and I grabbed my bag, threw on my shoes, and ran out of the cabin without a second thought. I drove back to the nearest town, my heart pounding the entire way. I never went back to that cabin. I don't know what I saw or what was trying to get to me, but I still hear the whispers in my dreams sometimes. If you're ever in the woods and you hear someone call your name, don't go looking for them. Just turn around and run. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more, subscribe, like the video, and comment your opinion on it. I will see you all very soon. And remember, keep an eye over your shoulder.